Hey, Patrick here with Deere Country Farm and Lawn. Today we're going to talk about the John Deere X300 series of lawn tractor. Starting off with the X330. The X330 has a 20 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine, okay? For those of you that are really tuned into engine manufacturers, this isn't your run-of-the-mill Briggs & Stratton, okay? John Deere also uses Briggs & Stratton in their 100 series mower. This can be very different internally. It's got a lot of beefed up components to make it a longer life engine. That's why it's got a 4-year, 300-hour warranty, whichever comes first. You're also just visually going to be able to see some basic differences that matter, like air filtration. This uses a cyclonic air management system. A lot of times you'll see the system on commercial equipment. What it means by cyclonic is as the air is pulled in, it can go 360 degrees around this filter, giving it more cover area to catch your dirt. It's also two-stage with an outer foam filter and an inner paper. So those are not things that you're going to find on entry-level Briggs & Stratton engines. X330 is available with a 42-inch deck and a 48-inch deck. Next model in the lineup is going to be an X350. X350 and the X330 are essentially companion tractors. They're the same, okay? The difference is going to be under the hood here again. And I'm not trying to get into the nuts and bolts of the machine too much. It's not really my area of expertise anyway, but this is going to use a Kawasaki engine, okay? 18.5 horsepower, okay? Kawasaki is considered to be one of the premier engine manufacturers in small equipment like this, okay? These are going to be what are called Kawasaki FS series engines. All of the engine manufacturers make different grades of engines. Kawasaki is going to have a low-grade engine called the FR series. You'll find in a lot of brands out there. The FS series is considered a heavier duty, and then their FX is their commercial grade. So this is not an entry-level Kawasaki engine here. This is an FS series Kawasaki. At 18.5 horsepower, though, it's worth noting that the X330 at 20 horsepower has got a little bit more power. So what does that mean in your decision process when, other than the engine between these two tractors, you're not looking at any differences? Both available in 42 and 48-inch decks. So they both don't have extra features mounted on top of them. Why would you choose one over the other? First of all, if you have a clear engine manufacturer preference, okay? So some people really are dialed in and like Briggs & Stratton. Other people, Kawasaki is their brand. Here you go. You have your option. The other reason I'd put out there is at 20 horsepower, if you've got a little bit hillier of a yard or you want that 48-inch deck and maybe are considering a bagger, that extra horsepower on the X330 will come in handy, okay? If you want something that's got a better reputation for durability, then the Kawasaki does have a better reputation for durability. My opinion, though, on durability is that usually durability comes down to the owner a lot more than the manufacturer. So I don't want to overstress that that's a big difference, because that really is you more than who makes the engine. So take care of your engine, and either one's very high quality. The next model is invisible. Okay, so stay with me here. If you go on John Deere's website, you're going to see a model called an X350R. We do not stock that model. Reason is low sales volume for us. We consider it to be kind of a specialty lawn tractor. Essentially what it is an X350, but instead of having a side discharge deck where the grass comes out the side, it has a rear discharge deck. So it redirects the grass to come out here over top the transaxle and into a bagger that comes with it. Most of our customers that want a bag are satisfied with using a side discharge and hooking the bagger up and taking it off and having more options. The rear discharge deck really only gives you that option of bagging. It's not very versatile, and it is a lot more money. But if you have one of those specialty needs that you only have a very set amount of space to fit into, the X350R might be an option for you. The next model in the lineup is where we're going to start to see feature differences. Okay, this is called the X354. The X354 takes everything you know from the X350 and adds four-wheel steer. Okay, so two-wheel steer in the 350, two-wheel steer in the 330. Now we get four-wheel steer. Four-wheel steer is not four-wheel drive. Okay, four-wheel steer is all four wheels turn. Not all four wheels have power going to them. They all turn, and I'm going to show that to you. But first I want to talk about why would you want it. If you have tight turning and you have some hills, zero turns are notorious, especially residential zero turns are notorious for not being great on hills. Lawn tractors, on the other hand, because the weight is more evenly distributed, are better on hills. So if you've got a yard that dictates a lot of maneuvering, four-wheel steer can be a better option, okay? Because it gets and swoops around all of the different landscaping tiers and people have in today's suburban landscaping models, as opposed to years ago when it was real squared off landscaping. Um, so real quick, what I'll do here is I'll hop on and we're going to drive around the bucket right here. I'm going to start with the 350. And what I want you to pay attention to is how much space is between the deck and the bucket. We're pretending the bucket is like a tree or some landscaping at your house, okay? I'm going to come real close up to it on the left side and then turn as tight as I can. And you're going to be able to see how much space is left uncut when I come around the other side of the bucket. And then I'll do the same thing on the 354. I have to be careful here I don't hit the bucket. But you see how much space is in between the deck and the bucket here. Still about the same amount of space. Comes around a little bit. We're closer here within a foot. And then it comes back out. Okay? Now we'll do the same thing with the 354. I'm within about, if you look at the space between the deck and the bucket, I would say 5-6 inches. You can't see it here, but it's the same distance. And watch as I come around. Right there is a good angle. You can see I'm within 4 inches, 5 inches there still. It's maintaining a much tighter circle around it, okay? So while it's not four-wheel drive, it's four-wheel steer. You'll hear some people say that these four-wheel steers are better in snow. That's not actually because of traction. It's because if you've ever been stuck in a car in the mud or whatever, um, when you get stuck, you try to turn your wheels to get you out. Well, when all four wheels start turning in the snow, it helps get you out of that stuck spot. So they are better in the snow and they are better on hills, but they are not four-wheel drive, they're four-wheel steer. Much better at maneuvering. If you have a lot of maneuverability, I actually prefer one of these to a zero turn. Zero turns I like to use in big long straightaways because they're so fast, but if you've got a lot to go around, this does a great job without tearing up the yard. The next model in the lineup is a different feature again. Okay, this is going to be the X370, and the feature that's going to be in this to tune into is power steering. Okay, there's one other thing here to pause on that's invisible, but it matters, and it's transmission. Okay, the models that we've talked to before this are going to have what are called Tough Torque K46 transmissions. And again, I'm not getting into the nuts and bolts, but this uses a Tough Torque K57. So you take a step up. The higher the number, the better the pump and the fan is on these, okay? So this is going to have a better transmission, and on lawn tractors, transmission a lot of times is the lifeblood of the machine. So that's a very important component or spec to be tuned into as you're looking around is what kind of transmission do you need for your yard to get it to last a good long time. The big difference here, though, is going to be power steering. Okay, so the best way I can show you power steering is, let's go back over here to the 350, okay, and I'm going to turn the steering wheel, and I want you to watch my hands sitting still. I'm going to use 4 fingers, and I'm pulling it around, okay? I actually am wrapping my thumb there on the edge to get enough to bring it around, but it takes my whole hand, okay? Now let's go to the 370 with power steering so that I can give you a comparison here. start it up. This is going to be hydraulic power steering, not electric power steering, which is nice. Hydraulic power steering is a lot more durable, lasts a very long time, low maintenance. You don't have to worry about water or anything getting in there. Okay. One finger. Very easy. Okay. Pretty quick and effective demo there. I was able to go back and forth much quicker because it's so much easier. Why would you want power steering? Okay. There's obviously a price difference. This is more expensive. Excuse the lawnmower. uh, you'd want power steering if you have elbow or shoulder issues. Okay. Um, you may also want power steering if you put snow removal equipment on this. Okay. If you have a snow blower up front here, there's going to be that much more weight hanging out here in front of the tractor, putting pressure on your steering wheels. Okay. So if you plan on using it for snow removal, lawn tractors in general have a limited effectiveness on snow removal as it is. But if you have a small flat driveway, they're good. They'll work. Power steering might help your comfort when you're moving at those slow speeds, having to do a lot of turning with a snow blade or a snow blower on front. Okay. Next model in the lineup is going to be a 380. Feature-wise, this is pretty bare bones. Okay, no four-wheel steer, no power steering or anything like that. The upgrade here that you can see from your right where you're standing, much larger rear tires. You get another step up in transmission. You're going to a K58 transmission here. Okay. And under the hood, still sticking with the Kawasaki FS series engine, but under the hood, you're going to get 22 horsepower. So, better transmission, more horsepower. Some reasons you would choose this: you have a larger yard. Okay? If you have a bigger yard, you need a better transmission so it lasts longer. You want a bag. You're using a 48-inch deck or a 54-inch deck that's available on this model. You need more horsepower to do that. You have bigger hills. Okay. This has larger rear tires to give you better traction and more horsepower to push you up the hill. Okay. So, big step up here is in basic performance, power, and traction. Okay. Now, when we get to the next model, you're going to start to feel familiar. Just like the 354 was a step up from the 350, the 384 is going to have that same step up. You're going to have four-wheel steer with the 22 horsepower, the K58 transmission. Okay. Next model is going to be the 390. It's a lot like that 370 we just looked at. Okay. 22 horsepower, larger tires, better transmission, just like the 380 that we talked about. Power steering here, though. Okay. We went over all the advantages of that. The last model in the lineup is unique. This has got everything. It's got your tilt steering wheel. Okay. It's got your four-wheel steer. And it's got power steering. Okay. So all the best that you can get in the 300 series into one model here in the X394. So hopefully this helps you identify which tractor in this lineup is best for your yard based on the features that you need. Okay. The last thing I want to go over here to help y'all is price. Okay. And I'm going to go over MSRP. Doesn't include delivery or anything like that. Your dealer might vary a little bit on price, and there's always different sales and stuff running. But MSRP, so you have an idea of where you're starting at, your X330 all the way down the line there with a 42-inch deck is going to be $29.99. Your X330 with a 48-inch deck is going to be $33.99. Your X350 with a 42-inch deck is going to be $32.99. Your X350 with a 48-inch deck is going to be $36.99. The X350R, the invisible specialty lawnmower I showed you there, remember? That one's going to be $45.99, okay, with the rear discharge bagger. The X354 four-wheel steer, 42-inch deck on that's going to be available for $39.99. The X370 power steering, that's going to have a 42-inch deck on it as well, $41.99. The X380, we take a step up in horsepower, better transmission there, remember? No extra features. That's going to be available on a 48-inch deck for $46.99 and a 54-inch deck for $49.99. The X384 builds on that and adds four-wheel steer, okay? That's going to have a 48-inch deck and be available for $53.99. The 390 Two-wheel steer, but power steering, okay? That's going to be available on a 48-inch deck for $56.99 and a 54-inch deck for $59.99. Then the X394 that has all the creature comforts of four-wheel steer, power steering, the best of everything here in the 300 series. This is going to be available on a 48-inch deck for $63.99. If you have any other questions about the X300 series, give us a call at Deere Country Farm and Lawn or visit us at www.deerecountry.net. Thank you.